Welcome to Empowering Chats with Susan Burrell. I'm Susan, in case you didn't know, and this is now 2026. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I could not wait to get out of 2025. It was such a tumultuous, transformative, scary, exciting, happy, sad, and everything else under those headings. Uh, and 2026 promises to be even more transforming for each of us. Now, every year, Empowering Chats has a theme. This year, the theme is follow your inner authority. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. But I have news for you. We are going down to two new podcasts a month. I may sprinkle in a couple other guided meditations in there for y'all to listen to or solo shows. But I am attempting to scale back just a little bit so I have more room for writing and more room for playing with my granddaughter. So that's what's going on this year. But there's all sorts of other ways you can access everything that I do by going to the website susanburrell.com. You'll find out when you join my newsletter, you'll find out when I'm teaching classes. I will be teaching a light leader workshop again this February, so stay tuned for that. You can also access all my Insight Timer meditations through the website. If you click on the icon at the bottom of each page, it'll take you right to my stash. And I also have a Substack. And if you're interested in reading about what I talk about and reading about what I practice and teach and basically experience myself, go to my Substack, subscribe to the podcast. Just subscribe and like and all that stuff, and just go with me on this ride through 2026. So, inner authority. What is inner authority? And when I was meditating on this, it was coming out of last year. People kept saying we have to claim our sovereignty. Astrologists were saying this is the year of claiming your sovereignty. And when I looked it up, it was basically about the sovereign being a king or queen. So I don't know about you all, but that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I really believe what it is claiming your inner authority. And that means moving your authority, who you believe is your authority, from the outside, all those people in news or social media or whoever you think is the authority telling you what to do, doctors, lawyers, moving that authority from the outside to the inside, meaning listening to your divine wisdom within. Because, like I always say, each and every human being on this planet is a divine spark, a spark of the one source energy, the allness, the massive, unable to actually put a name on energy that is flowing in and through and around everything. And each human being has that spark within them. So the good news is each individual has the ability to listen to their inner authority, to listen to the divine wisdom they came in with, the divine blueprint for our lives. We each have a divine blueprint that we've agreed to before we came in this lifetime. And in listening to the inner authority, it really means you've got to take an inner look at the truth of how you've been operating, the truth of who you are. And if you're like me, it's taken until I'm a ripe old age to finally go, oh, that's who I am. Or, oh, I don't really know who I am. And I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. But it does mean practicing deep listening. Now, deep listening is about going within, taking moments during your day, meditating, or just taking a moment to take a step back from whatever you're doing at work or at play and just listen deeply within your heart system, your wisdom system, the chamber that holds all of the information you were encoded with and continue to be encoded with because of all the light codes that have been streaming in for the last few years. That's where the inner authority is. And some people call it intuition. Some people call it following your gut. Although it doesn't really reside in your gut, although the gut does kind of um, remind you that you're not listening. Uh, but when we practice daily, tuning into our intuition and tuning up to the highest frequency of love and light that is that divine source energy, when we practice that daily, the listening, the deep listening within our heart system is listening to our higher self, listening to our soul, the piece of our soul that is still in the God, I don't know where it lives, but we come in with a particle of our soul, that divine spark, but there is a larger part of our soul that is also assisting and helping and listening and orchestrating. And we have to listen. When we listen to outer authorities, we often make bad choices. I'm just going to say we make bad choices. I'm labeling it, but hey, we often make choices that aren't for our highest good. That's what I mean. We often make choices that are bending our mind, our will, our health system within our physical body in a way that isn't for the highest good of our operating system. Do you get that? So it's important to it's important to um, really begin this year in uh, tuning to the truth of your being, embodying the truth of your being. And that does mean following your gut. Now, I have an acronym for gut. It's G for guidance, U for understanding, which is not logical at times, T for truth, your divine truth, and another T I added for trusting. Because when we're moving through all that we're moving through, we have been for the last decade, probably the last centuries, it's important for us to individuate, meaning individuate from the outer authority and recognize who are you now, right? And that's a question I ask God at least once a month, sometimes once a week, sometimes every day. Who am I now? Because we're constantly, as divine beings, we are constantly evolving and transmuting. And it's so important to recognize that instead of doing your daily to-do list and showing up at your job or the gig you're doing and doing whatever an authority figure, your boss, your supervisor, your whatever colleagues told you to do, listening within and following that guidance and beginning to understand what that guidance is calling you to do. This is why follow your inner authority is the theme. And and then really asking yourself, is this true for me? Not for everybody else. Because here's the thing, we've been living under a veil, if you will, or a force field, if you will, because sometimes people are very forceful about their opinions, where the outer authority is here to tell us what to do so we don't have to think about what we have to do. Except we no longer have that choice. It's vital, it's imperative that as human beings, we really do think about what our truth is personally. And my truth is different from your truth. My truth isn't going to be the same as yours. Nobody's, because we're all unique individuations of the divine, nobody's truth is the same. So this is what's been complicating, I think, things in the outer world, in the physical world, um, because certainly I was doing this for a long time. What I think and believe is true, I used to really think this when I was in my 20s, then everybody should think it. Or doesn't everybody? Everybody must think it, right? Because I think it, so therefore it must be true for everyone. But that's not the way it is, you guys. Our individual truth is why we came here to evolve, to explore, to transmute, to grow and change consciousness, our consciousness, because it has to start with us, our inner consciousness. So following your gut, that guidance, and then coming to the understanding of what it is that guidance is leading you towards or asking of you. It's not a logical thing. It's not like creating a to-do list or doing an outline for a project or a paper, with PowerPoint stuff. It's not logical like that. It's very securitous, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. It tends to expand and then contract this understanding, this inner divine guidance. It will expand to get our attention, right? And it also expands so that our creative abilities can expand. And then it will contract a bit while we recalibrate the information, hence understanding that we've received. That's the understanding. And then there is, again, like I said, following your truth, your inner authority, being aware that the truth that you feel intuitively within your heart, within your gut, is your truth. And then it also requires um, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to convince other people that you're right, or letting go of the need to convince other people that your truth is their truth. Because that's not so, you guys. That is not so. And then once you are able to really discern your truth and let go of being right about your truth, then it's about trusting that all that's happening in the outer world is for the highest good of all. All that's happening in the outer world. Now, I've said that before, and I've caught people have like stopped and said, but what about, the people that are dying? What about this? What about that? There is a larger uh, there is a larger intelligence that is in action here, and we are part of it. And as we remember that, as we tune into that, we tune up to a higher frequency. And that frequency, I have been saying for the last few years, is love. It's love. And when we can move into love and out of fear, then we uplift everyone. There's lots of people that are light workers on the planet right now. We're all here for a divine reason, and that's individual. Each of our individual blueprints have brought us here collectively to raise the consciousness of humanity and raise it to a high frequency of love, which means part of listening to your divine authority and following it means you have to excavate the fear that shows up and the sorrow and all of that. You've got to excavate it because that is the roadblock that the outer world impresses on us. Because the outer world, many people, because look what's happening, and we've lived through so many for centuries, wars that decimate, that annihilate, that blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to name anymore. And we're currently watching this. So the only way through that isn't to fight. It's not to stand on a corner with a sign and say, I'm right. It's not to, unless you're guided to, it's not to weaponize more. It's not about that. The what's occurring here is the raising of consciousness, and it has to happen individually, because when one or more are gathered, eventually we will all be uplifted. We will all be transmuted. And that's just true. I've felt it. I've seen it. I think if you think about it, you've seen it in areas of your life. So this again requires deep listening within yourself. It means being present to what you're feeling, to what you're hearing in that divine voice that kind of whispers. And are you allowing the flow of your life, of your divine wisdom to inform you, or are you resisting it out of fear? Or it might be something else, out of shame or out of guilt. Are you resisting that divine wisdom that is constantly flowing in and through and around you? Because that's the reason why we're here. And that's what makes your body function and your heart pump and all of that. So the deep listening within yourself. And then it also requires deep listening when you're with another human being. Not waiting to say, hey, and this is my truth, and I think you should believe it, or wanting to counteract, or wanting to talk them out of their beliefs or their truths. Just listening. When we can listen to another human being, that's when we feel seen and heard. Don't you feel that? When somebody really hears what you have to say, don't you feel seen and heard? And doesn't that feel good? Well, that's part of the deep listening as well. Starting within and then working on the when you're with other people in all relationships. So part of this is opening as becoming a light leader. Light workers are becoming light leaders because it's necessary for many of us to lead from our inner authority, to lead from that high frequency of love, to be a conduit for that high frequency of love, a conduit for source energy, and allow that energy to flow so that others can see and others can hear their own divine authority, because it amplifies, just like a radio broadcast or a podcast. It amplifies that frequency of love, and it touches people whether we know it or not. Just like the low frequency of fear wraps around us and tethers us to where we really used to be. And it doesn't allow us to move forward to where we all are collectively going, which is into a higher consciousness of love. So releasing fear helps us to hear more of our inner authority. And what your inner authority may whisper to you or may demand of you, because sometimes it's very strong, might be a little unnerving. I mean, it was for me when several years ago in meditation, I heard activate the light, activate light leaders. That was daunting. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. But I've been doing it now for so long, which is why I teach Are You a Light Leader workshops. And every year there's a new component that drops in for me that I teach during these workshops, so that all of us can lift up, all of us can let go of what was and really be present, really listen deeply to that authority, that divine wisdom within our heart center that is our real guidance system. Not the outer world, not the GPS in your car, but the GPS within that divine authority that speaks and lives by means of us, each of us. So, what is your truth? So, the other thing I've recognized, I've just learned, I always teach from things I've just learned. Hello. Um, Moving into a new expression of ourselves. That's what 2026 is going to be asking of us. Creating new expressions of ourselves, not necessarily creating from who we were, but being present to who we are now, and creating from that. Meaning our thoughts are going to be different. The information we receive is going to be more uplifting. The activities we choose to do are going to be more enlivening and fun. And the projects we work on or co-create with our colleagues are going to be amazing. And we still have to drop that attachment to a low level of fear, that low frequency. Drop it. Just drop it right now. And so one of the things uh, I realized is it's the fear of death, right? That low level fear is a human, what's a good word? Contagion, old belief that we're all going to die. And the truth is, this body I'm in will eventually shut down and I will seemingly die. And really, what happens is the consciousness I've developed during this lifetime moves on and accelerates its growth and expansion into another lifetime when it chooses. So there is no end game here if we're all going to die, because we're all going to die. So that fear, if we can wrestle with it and release it or contain it enough so that our real truth, the real purpose of being on planet Earth right now can reveal itself by means of us individually, then our highest good, the highest frequency of love will be seen, will be met. It will solve. It will solve because it will solve all the problems. How, I don't know. I understand it, right? That's my inner understanding. Don't have the logic about it yet. But if I continue, as I continue to deeply listen within myself, I can begin to see components of how, like activating the light within each individual, activating and tuning up as light leaders so that we may model for humanity a higher frequency of love and behavior that is kind, compassionate, and creative in a positive and loving way. So one of the things I learned recently about myself, I'm going to share some of this truth as I'm uh, embodying the truth of my being as I was closing out 2025. Um, I recognize it's a brand new truth that was revealed to me, hence the tears. I recognize that all my life, and you guys may have this going on. I've been empathic. I've been intuitive. I've been psychic since I was born. And I know many, 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 many of us are until we shut down, until we close off those abilities. For some reason, it became my empathy meter became my protection device. And I think that's true for many empaths. Uh, I've interviewed several and I've read their books, and you have to be aware of how your empathic abilities affect you. Um, And so I became very aware in the last couple of weeks of 2025 that my empathy meter was wide open. So when the war happened, when the invasion of Russia into Ukraine happened, I felt it. I knew something had happened on the other side of the earth. I didn't know what until I saw headlines. And because I felt it, because my empathy meter was so wide open. What I've discovered is being an empathic channel gives your power away because you're constantly on the lookout for what's happening and how you can help, how you can serve or fix it or whatever. And what that does, what that means is that um, being empathic, what that means about giving your power away, means that for me, I was constantly um, trying to make things better for other people, hence becoming a healer. Many light workers and light leaders, healers of any kind, are empathic, um, because that's also how we help others. We feel into their frequency, into their energy fields, and then we're able to know how to navigate and assist them in releasing whatever it is they're asking release from and healing from and all that. But when you are have your empathy meter open full blast, it's very hard to learn who you are because you're constantly living through other people. You're experiencing other people's energies and transmuting it or whatever. So, what I learned at the end of 2025 for me is to tune down my empathy meter, tune down that broadcast or that frequency that picks up other people's stuff. And so I'm practicing how to tune it down. And I'm very excited about this process. And I'll let you know as we go through 2026, because I realized I was so busy functioning on behalf of others that I wasn't functioning on behalf of me, right? So I really see 2026 for me as an opportunity to really get to know the truth of Susan, really get to know, which is probably why I've been asking that question, who am I now, for so long, because I never knew. But now I think I'm really going to be able to um, recognize myself even further, and um, find out all the nuances of Susan that have been there all along, all the things that bring me joy, all the things that uplift me, all the creative components that have been within me, but I've been sorting through them or pushing them to the side so I could help other individuals. It's not saying I'm not going to help other people. You guys, that's not true. I'm still teaching. I'm still working with clients. I'm still channeling guided meditations so that they may help anybody who listens. But the good news is, as I dive into listening more deeply within myself and follow my inner authority, that intuition, I will gain greater understanding of the truth of my being, greater awareness of who I am this time around. And I kind of think it's about time. I'm like, I've been waiting for this since I was born, I guess. So, following your inner authority. That to me is what 2026 is going to be about. And that will bring us more happiness, more creativity, more harmony, more health, more connection with each other, because all of it is fueled from a high frequency of love and light. So there you have it. That's 2026 in a nutshell. I have no idea what's going to happen next, but stay with me and we will have some amazing guests over the course of the next few months that I think you'll find inspiring and thought-provoking, and help you to really see the truth of your being and follow your inner authority. Yeah. So until next time, and so it is, namaste.